All right, welcome to the Underdog Ecom podcast, where two ecom brand founders are figuring out in real time.
Yeah, we're not here to preach. We're here in the thick of it, making mistakes, testing all sorts of ideas, and really sharing the journey of how we've been growing these brands from day zero. Hopefully you learn a little bit, perhaps come away with some ideas that save you time and money. And so if you're tired of the same glittery D2C advice from those 9-figure gurus, you're here in the right place.
Let's get into it. Welcome, guys. I have no idea what episode this is, but I'm excited for the content because we're talking about apps, and this is where David and I... Is that 14? No, what was that?
Sorry, that was 18. I don't know who did 18 with its fingers.
Okay.
I need 3 hands.
Yeah.
18.
We're on episode 18. There we are. And David and I are going to nerd out a little bit about software apps we're using that are really kind of helping us. And this is something I think we talk about anyway. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna publish it this time. And let's get started off.
We're gonna call this the most valuable app stacks. Your most valuable apps. Like basically,
MVA.
If someone took these away from you, you would sit in a corner and cry, and your entire business would self-destruct. Like these are the best things that you can't live without, because there's, it's Shopify land. We all have 5 gazillion apps. We've talked about app bloat before. Hopefully that episode, go back and listen to it if you haven't. It helped people trim their apps because lists, which it did for us. I know that we both cut out many apps after that episode because there's too many out there, and those fixed costs add up like crazy. But yeah, we're here to talk about our faves because everyone likes to talk about apps in Shopify land. Like every other week in D2C Twitter, there's a viral tweet that's like, here's my apps that I like, and who knows why they go viral. But everyone goes, why do these go viral? And then they click on it and they interact with it, and then they're like, oh, this is so cool. Like, that's why.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Go ahead, Jack.
Me first. Okay.
Not as it doesn't matter.
That's fine. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, well, like we said, it's not just Shopify apps. So there's definitely a few things there. I won't start with Shopify. I'll start with like basic. I don't know if this counts as an app, but I really like the app. I really like the experience of Mercury. I use Mercury banking, and so I really like the way that is structured because really easy to keep track of everything. International transfers, like to suppliers and stuff, are pretty competitive. You can see cash flow. It's nice to see. I'm so used to seeing like a bank where it's just your balance updates once a week sort of thing. It just drives me crazy. To like Mercury's really kind of doing some cool stuff there. So they're like, their credit card is good, and I think it's a cool app that kind of is just quite modern, and it's kind of nice when you're kind of working with other modern tech for that to work pretty well. So I'm not talking about like their financial products, but I think the app, like using the app, is really useful, and like sending payment links to people, and they can track it. All that stuff is just really helpful. I was gonna start with that one. I think you use Mercury as well, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. I recently took a line of credit a month ago probably, to help with my cash flow gate issues. And it's a local bank, and I dread logging in, and I get charged for like everything. And I'm like, you mean you charge me to have an account $30 a month? Like, what? Are you kidding me? And Mercury's amazing. I've used them for years. Everything's so easy. And you're right. Like it's phenomenal. I love logging in and checking everything. It's great. I do wish that some of their automation bank transfer features were better. That's something I would say. Like I want to have more advanced functionality behind that in terms of what you can do and what you can leave and how you can split. Like I want to split incoming transfers of deposits into different percentages, and you can't really do that. But overall, phenomenal banking product. I also have an account at Highbeam, which is like the other go-to ecom bank, and it's not as good, I'd say. Mercury is just hands and feet above everyone. Highbeam's pretty good. It's better than the local bank for sure, like 100 times better. But I feel like their functionality and their UI and their features are lacking a little bit.
Yeah, I guess I've only really heard about Highbeam from like the capital side of things. I guess like brands trying to get capital and things from them.
Yeah, they do that, which is nice.
Maybe their credit card. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of finance, is it Final Loop? I don't know if you say pronounce it.
I think it's Finaloop.
Finaloop. Okay. I've been digging into that more because I've been using it for like this for the only for the last 6 months or something. But
Cool.
it's unbelievable how good the reporting is on there in terms of cash flow, in terms of like all the different like net margin, gross margin, all this stuff. You can see it in like a chart over the weeks, over the months. I have not been spending enough much time on that, and I love how from bookkeeping perspective, because I have to do bookkeeping over here in the UK as well, and it's definitely not like this. I mean, it's like they send me a spreadsheet, and I've got to like try and remember what the hell that charge was and what I paid for, and it's just so much easier with Finaloop, and the reporting is just really cool. I've been really enjoying. Well, I mean, sometimes not enjoying so much when the numbers aren't in my favor, but it's been helpful to see where costs are going, because that's one thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on finance for the first few minutes, because I also going to say Clio, which is another, we've talked about this quite a few times, really good for like, I really like Clio from the ads perspective, one product perspective. So what's the margin on, on a sale in terms of actually what the contribution margin and all that sort of stuff. But obviously it's not an accounting app, right? And if you want to see actually where your money went last month, they're different functions. They're both really useful, but they're different functions. And Finaloop is really good for just looking at just, oh my God, I spent 30% of my sales on shipping last month. It's like, oh wow, because of freight and whatever. So really useful. I don't know. Have you used them as well?
Yeah, I've used them for 2-ish years now, and I love it. Like, I used QBO before that. Wanted to pull my hair out every time I used it because it was the most atrocious platform ever known to man. Intuit ruins everything they touch. I strongly believe in that. And it was so painful, and I hated every single second in that software, and nothing made sense. Nothing was easy to use. Nothing was clear. And Finaloop, I agree, is like a godsend, because it's just like, man, it's so easy to look at. They're adding stuff all the time. Everything is laid out really easily, and you're right, you can dig through numbers. And I agree with Clio. Clio's on my list as well in terms of analyzing ad and tracking contribution margin and making sure that the ad spend is on par with what I want it to be. But it doesn't have the whole picture, like you're saying. And that's actually what you mentioned there was a good realization, because I was looking at stuff in Clio earlier as we were talking about sales in the last episode, and it's like, oh, I was missing the full picture. I needed to look at Finaloop a little bit to fill in the pieces of the puzzle. So I agree. Those three are like a good trifecta for sort of the finance realm.
Yeah. And then from like an actual like Shopify app perspective, we mentioned this last in the pod, but Abra definitely has been really good, because I just think the biggest problem with discounts is communication, and like customers be able to understand what the discount is and where it applies and how they get it, and also across the funnel, right? So just from a collection page to a product page to cart, that consistent messaging, it's been really helpful. The other thing is with Black Friday, before it was either you manually discounted all your products, like you actually changed the compare app price and you maybe like upload a CSV, or you did a code. And obviously the problem with codes is they don't always get used, and the people in some ways you could say, well, it's better, because then some people will buy without the code, but then of course people might come back to you and say, I wasn't able to apply the code, I couldn't remember what it was. I think it's really great with Abra because it just applies automatically, but it's also dynamic. I just found it really great.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal app. I think Daniel and team has done a great job with it. I have noticed a few edge case bugs here and there, and the communication that they're improving a lot of the UI and stuff like that. It's gotten a lot better. I think the back end in Shopify is not world-class quality yet, but the front end in terms of dynamically changing prices so customers can see what's going on and all that communication, definitely worth it. That's in my list of MVP apps.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the new, like the expansion of discounts in Shopify helps as well. Because I think before you could only have one public discount in Abra, which was annoying, because if you wanted to have a certain type of code and some other type of code, you could, even if they weren't for competing products, you couldn't have them live at the same time. Whereas because you've now got the tiered structure in Shopify, you can actually have them apply different things and have like one code apply for different things. And so you can kind of get away with that now, I think.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, the other one is, have you heard of Foxel bundles?
Yeah.
I'm really surprised at that, because I've been using a lot of bundle apps, because bundle apps is really key for us because of people adding add-ons for their bags and accessories and things. And I've really struggled to understand how best to do that. And what I really like about Foxtel actually is that they take a completely different approach from most of the bundle apps out there that are really complicated and try to have every single feature. And they do the opposite and they just say, we'll give you the bare bones. And if you want to build on top of that, please go ahead. Which is really cool because what I've actually done is recently instead of having like a bundle builder on every product page and or like frequently bought together or anything like that, I've actually almost had almost you got like a underneath the buy now button, it's got like bundle and save, and it'll just take them to the same like one bundle page where it'll have like the main products and the add-ons, and they can almost like choose that. So almost like it's like almost like one bundle page where they can choose that bag or another bag. And I found like the friction has been like so much less. And it's just been easier to like get people to bundle and understand the bundles. And of course, when in the cart, it shows like a line item bundle and not just a collection of products in the cart. So I think that's been really working really well. And I really like how, I mean, when I was trying to get things set up, they said, you know, I think they gave me like a month and 2 months free while I was just trying to get it set up.
Awesome.
And they're really good with like developers as well if you want to set things up. But I mean, that's been I've only been using them for like 2 or 3 months now, but their pricing is, I mean, maybe slightly above what the average bundle app is, but I definitely think they're more like cooperative as like in terms of their team.
Yeah, I think they're leading the pack. I've interacted with their team and I've built some client projects using their app and stuff like that in the past, and ran into them in the Shop Dev Alliance. They're awesome folks, and the app is really good. I think I actually should probably do more bundling stuff, and so I should look at that more.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a good one. I agree. I don't use it. I'd agree with that.
I'll let you go ahead now. I think those are my top for the moment.
Nice. Those are good ones. I'm going to start with non-Shopify first. Like basically, I run my businesses and specifically my ecom brand using Hey Email, which is made by 37 Signals, which runs Basecamp as well. And I feel like if I was using Gmail or something like that, it would just be a disaster because I do so much emailing and so much contact back and forth to suppliers and like everything that happens and work with my team and that sort of thing. Like it would be a disaster if I didn't have it. And I was reminded of this the other day when one of those UGC influencer apps out there that will give you businesses and let you, spam them or whatever, got a hold of my email. And so I got like 20 emails into my filter in the Hey emails, which doesn't get into my inbox. I have to let them in, basically open the door for them. But I was able to just basically deny all of them. Obviously they were just canned mass market emails, which I can tell because it uses not the brand name that everyone knows that knows the brand. It uses like the Instagram handle name or whatever. So Hey Email's up there for me. Basecamp is up there for me because I'm organizing and coordinating with suppliers and like restocks and working with my VA and working with my shipping person who's running stuff for me. And like, it would be a disaster if I was using something else for project management. I think Basecamp has been phenomenal for organizing the company. One recent addition that I would say that I just kind of started using like a month or two ago was AbleStar, bulk product updates. Like you mentioned for sales, a lot of times for Black Friday, if you're discounting things, you have to go in there manually and change stuff or whatnot. Like I've had to do that one by one in products in the past. And I knew there was apps out there, but I never looked at using them because I was like, oh, that will it actually save me time? Holy cow, yes, it will save you time. AbleStar, just so for example, during these big sales, I was removing some of the products from my site that are drop shipped because I didn't want to have the discounts on them because I only get a certain percentage of them because I feature other brands' products on my site. So I was removing them, and AbleStar was able to do that. I wanted to update some of my prices, wanted to update like my compare app prices, like for different sales and that sort of thing. And it's just been, and you can go in and find historical things you've changed, and you can set up templates. I think you can set up templates, but it's really easy to do stuff that you've done in the past over again. And it's like a couple clicks, and you can sort and filter products and do mass changes to them way easier than the bulk editor in Shopify. So I love AbleStar. That's definitely on my list of MVPs.
Just to go back to Hey for a moment as well, because I just got hit with another, because we use like Google Workspace, got hit with another, like I think every year they put their prices up every single year. And if you have more, like several people in there, it gets expensive really quickly. It's crazy. And I've really been thinking about for a while, trying to cut it out. How do you find it not having like Google Drive, like quick access, like Google Sheets, like all that sort of stuff? like not with Hey, I guess, or do they, or is they have their own product for that, or how do you get around that, or does it not bother you?
Yeah, they have their own calendar products, which isn't that great, but I think they're working on it. And so I still use my Gmail for my calendar, and um, I still use Sheets, and and like you can still use Sheets without a workplace membership. I think your recording limit or something in meetings is limited. I still use Google Meet for meetings, or a different product called Cal.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like the calendar thing and invites with calendars is like the only thing where it's like there's a little bit of friction, but
Yeah.
I think it's worth it at the end of the day. What was the other product of Google that you mentioned that you use?
Google Drive. Do you store anything there or
Yeah,
not?
I do use, yeah, I store some things there, but I don't store everything. And I've got just a Google account with the business. And so it's the free, whatever their free tier is. So it's not like it's probably like 20 gigs or something. It's not a huge amount of space. So all my media is stored on Air, the Air app, or just on my computer, or in
Okay.
Basecamp. And I've got enough storage on Basecamp and Air that I don't need to use Google Drive for a lot of things.
Okay, really interesting. Yeah, because I've been using Google Drive for like so much stuff, and it's got to the point where
Yeah.
I mean, this is how all big tech companies want it to be, isn't it? But it's just a nightmare because now if I ever want to move away, and they keep putting the prices up, and if I want to move
Yeah.
away, I mean, I don't even know how I download all that stuff and move it somewhere else. I mean, it just
Yeah.
like gives me nightmares thinking about doing that.
It is hard because especially with like as we do so much more and like as every ecom brand should almost be a content company, like that takes up a ton of space. And that is
Yeah.
something that I found difficult where it's trying to work in content creation for my person that works for me and like with me and how do we collaborate on that and do that. And so we have been uploading stuff to Google Drive, so it's filling up faster than it has in the past, but I don't have a great solution on what that would look like going forward. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I wanted to call out Judge Me as one of my MVP apps, even though I don't use it yet. But
It's amazing.
Judge Me, just like, yeah, everyone knows about it, knows about the value, knows about the pricing. We don't need to talk about it. It's just, I'm calling it out, even though I'm not using it. I love it.
Yeah.
On my other list of MVPs is PageDeck. PageDeck is a landing page product that's, I think, the best out there. And it's kind of expensive, but I think it's worth it because I found myself building landing pages. For example, I'm making custom merch for different companies. And so I built out a landing page on PageDeck because it's way faster. I love that there's not 5,000 different blocks for everything. There's like one block for one thing, and they've already made sure that it's the best that it can be. And so you just go with that block and then you build out your page, and it's great. And so I've been building web pages in it rather than on my main domain just because it's so easy. And
Well,
yeah, it's great. I love that app. I don't want to, I mean, I use them a lot, Klaviyo and PostScript, but I don't want to, it's like, maybe they get an honorable mention, but their pricing is so expensive that I don't want to put them on my MVP stack of apps because they're so expensive. But they are like insanely valuable. And like, I don't know what I would do without an email client or a SMS client, for retention. I was also going to say ComSlayer has been really awesome for it's like specifically what I'm doing mostly with it right now is responding to Facebook comments. And that was always pretty painful in the past, but with their AI and just the ability to have all of it in one place, I can run through that really quickly and respond to people that comment on posts and on ads. And that's really important, I think, for the brand because, you know, we've all seen the ads where no one from the brand replies to comments, and it just kind of seems like that's not a good look. And so making it as easy as possible is something that's great. The pricing is amazing for ComSlayer, and they're constantly improving it. And I'm eventually going to migrate over once I find some time. I'm going to migrate over my help desk to it because they're pretty awesome.
yeah, I've been using them a little bit. I don't use them all the time as well, but I've kind of got it connected anyway. The only thing I think
Nice.
the issue I had with it is like was deleting emails through ComSlayer. Last time I checked, it was I asked is it Kerry? I think I asked him, and he said apparently in order to be able to from a client like something like that where it's obviously accessing your Gmail, in order to be able to like pass on deleting an email. So if you get lots of spam or whatever, and you want to just move them out, I think you have to pay something like 100 grand a year or something to Gmail or something
Oh,
ridiculous
wow.
like Google in
Wow.
order to have that access. And so obviously only the big apps can do that, or
Wow.
something like that. Yeah, it's kind of annoying that like obviously a small company like them, they're not going to be able to do that just now. But it's kind of annoying when you get, especially if your support email gets quite a lot of outreach. It's kind of annoying if you can't delete directly from there, because otherwise it just builds up amongst everything else. But I do think that they're what they're doing in customer service in general is really good, because it's got out of hand with like how much some of these things are charging for it.
Yeah, definitely out of hand. It's kind of crazy to look at some of those numbers and think about like, oh yeah, if we were getting 5 gazillion tickets a month, like what this would cost. Craziness. Yeah, they're on there. I feel like they're also in the same camp as Judge Me, where it's just like incredible value for what they deliver,
Yeah,
and love to see that in ecom because there's everything's really expensive and it adds up.
yeah.
The last one that's on my list is Upcart, and I think
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like an unsung hero. Like you
yeah.
know, your cart is one of the most used and most important pages on your site. And I was actually working on a custom cart for a client last week and was reminded like, oh yeah, this is really important. It's also kind of hard to build it right and allow for the amount of customization that Upcart allows. I haven't tried a whole lot of other carts out there, but I I might be on a free tier of Upcart. I'm not sure how their pricing structure works because I use Aftersell as well, and it's owned by Aftersell. Um, I'll have to check on that. I hope I'm not paying a whole lot for it, but it's been an awesome app to funnel, the traffic into the side cart and allow for upsells, and all the customization that they have in there is really nice. And so that's kind of a one that I forget about often in terms of a really valuable app, but I love it.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's something I was wondering if I didn't need for a while, but they've every time I look at the analytics and stuff, I think a lot of upsells are coming through Upcart. I think it's the place where people consider a lot of the time whether they're gonna add something else or not, and having like the right suggestions, like even reward tiers, all that sort of stuff. You can do it by
Mhm,
currency as well, so you can different currencies, you can show different rewards. Um, you can even like hide certain products you don't want to show in there, which I found out the other day.
mhm.
So yeah, I'm always surprised at how much customization, how much sort of CSS you can add in there, and HTML and stuff you can add into like to make it your own. And I think in comparison to something like Rebuy, which obviously much more expensive as well, I'm fairly certain it loads a lot faster as well.
Mhm.
It seems a lot less like lot lighter weight than Rebuy.
Yeah, Rebuy is sort of infamous for clogging up the console log and loading so many scripts that it makes everything really slow.
Yeah,
That's that's actually what I was working on for the client, was replacing Rebuy with custom code last week, which is fun.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
thought about custom code quite a bit. But what I think the difficult part, and maybe you know this better than I do, probably. So I might be wrong here, but I feel like the difficult part is the recommendations part, because obviously that they're doing that separately, aren't they? Upcart, like it's not happening on the site. They've got like a recommendation side, which is then passing back. Whereas if you were to, I mean, you could do like basic Shopify recommendations, but if you wanted to do anything more than that, like I said, it'd be quite hard to custom code that, but right?
Not actually, no.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure Upcart uses Shopify's product recommendations API, which is based
Uh,
in the shop search and discovery. I always want to call it search and destroy. Search and
Search
discovery
and
app in
destroy.
Shopify. Yeah. Uh, but I'm pretty sure that's what Upcart's using, and that's what I would agree that like Rebuy has a powerful engine behind it, and you can change a lot of the feeds and stuff in Rebuy. They allow a lot of that customization, but I would say for the most part, most of the custom code that's powering recommendations like that is just using the recommendations API from Shopify. So it's pretty straightforward to use and access and render. Yeah.
Yeah, I am hoping like some of the newer themes over the next year or two kind of just build out some really good cart functionality, like cart drawer functionality.
Hmm.
But I'm always surprised at how basic they are. Which even like
Hmm.
top themes have pretty basic
Hmm.
parts, like they have a shipping tier, and maybe they have
Hmm.
recommended products, but you can't really do a whole lot about changing them or how they look or anything like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's why I've got Upcart on my list.
Yeah,
They go above and beyond, and it's a great value, and it's a very important part of the site. Um, that's, I mean, obviously Shopify. I feel like I've used non-Shopify before, and I love Shopify so much. It's expensive, but it deserves to be my list of MVPs. I think that's my last one. Yeah.
It had to be mentioned.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely had to be mentioned. Good old Shopify. Awesome. Well, yeah, let us know what your favorite apps are, MVP apps out there. Always curious. The Shopify app world is deep and wide. Like I just discovered AbleStar a month or so ago, and it's been one of my favorite ones to use recently. So curious what y'all are stumbling across out there. But I think that's it for now. Anything else, Jack?
That's all. Thanks for listening, and yeah, we'll be recording next for you shortly.